Hi, this is Zach. I'm doing a second version of the flight video from Coolum Ridge Reserve, more for those people who like to see the DVR footage and some of the technical information from a flight. This spot was quite interesting because the bitrate that you see here bumping around a little bit, so the noise floor in this area is quite high for the radio frequencies on 5.8. But at this particular spot, the video just suddenly got swamped. You can see both the megabits dropping, and in a moment you'll see the delays really start to spike. Instead of panicking and hitting return to home, I just decided to push through it, trusting that my plane could go into return to home if I really needed it to, but I was just curious to see how long this would last. It's interesting, there's obviously something quite high powered, maybe directional in this area that's just completely swamping the signal. But then as I move out of the area, approaching around 4 kilometers, the signal cleans up nicely. So even as I'm heading further away now, the signal is much clearer than it was before. While the noise floor here is obviously quite high compared to a lot of places I fly, I thought it'd be nice just to show people what it's like flying digital as the signal gets weaker and weaker. Those that are digital curious and haven't yet made the plunge. So about 5Ks out here, bit rate's under 20 now, and you're starting to see just a bit of gentle blurring on the edges of the screen. I really like how DJI has done the focus mode so that most of the bandwidth that's available is generating the image and sharpness in the middle. Because when you're out flying with the goggles on, you don't pay as much attention to the edges of the screen anyway, so it's quite a neat solution. Here the bitrate's starting to get down under 10, and you can see the edges are getting more and more blocky, to the point where eventually you'll see some pretty definite lines where the focus mode edges are. Interestingly here, as I actually get to the end of the mountain range on my left and fly back into open space, the signal actually improves, so that might indicate that there is some impact from the multipathing happening from the hills. So you can see here the bitrate has climbed up again above 10, and yeah, it's actually much more comfortable flying at the moment. And given this outcome, I could probably fly over the dam if I wish to, but I've done that a few times from closer range, and I won't be doing that again this flight. So I'm about to turn around here, and what's worth noting is that the antennas that I've got on this plane are a little bit low and tucked behind the GoPro. So as I turn here, at about 8.7 Ks I think it is, the antennas are struggling a bit with the GoPro in the front. Still, thankfully, the signal holds on rather than dropping out entirely, and now I just need to start cruising back until the signal climbs back up to a usable level. Doesn't take too long, another 10-20 seconds and the bitrate comes right back up. There we go, above 10 already, and pretty smooth sailing back home. This next section is from the second flight that DCW and I had here. At this point he's trying to find me and I'm just cruising along, trying to be predictable. It's interesting that on this side, out at 5.7 Ks, we're getting 30 to 40 megabits, so obviously less interference out this way, away from the suburbs and the mountain. But in a moment you'll see what happens when we're a bit closer in to where the mountain is. It's only about 2.7 Ks here, hovering around 30, still heading up to 40, but there goes DCW. Now if you remember from earlier in this video, I flew out this way on my own and got stomped on, and you are going to see that happening again shortly. What's interesting here is that I seem to have a combined effect of whatever is stomping on our video plus the impact of the other Mini Talon's VTX losing its signal and starting to hunt, which also causes me interference. So the delay is going absolutely nuts, but thankfully my video hangs on while DCW's video has cut out altogether and he's hit return to home. It doesn't take much. I've turned away from him here and flown back the way I've come, and my video recovers fairly quickly, getting out of that area as well as getting away from his plane. Not realizing that his plane was contributing to it though, I've gone hunting for him, of course. And in a moment you'll see what happens when I get close, while his VTX is still hunting for a signal. So you can see both the delay and the bitrate get affected quite a bit. And once more. It's interesting that the bitrate stays high sometimes with the delay peaking. Also worth noting that the DVR stops recording for those sections where it's lost a lot of signal, so it's actually missing quite a few seconds in between each frame. Here we're heading back. He still hasn't regained video, and yeah, I thought maybe by now I could catch up to him without too much impact, but nope, that's not the case. Even only 1.5 k's away, I'm still having issues anytime I'm getting close to him, which is pretty bad. And more worryingly, the fact that his plane hasn't recovered video at all. He's using the version 2 of the DJI digital goggles with the stock antennas, whereas I'm using the version 1 with the iFlight Crystal HD set, which is pretty awesome. About 450 meters out now. If you watch the glitches that I'm having, all of a sudden they settle down, and that's when his video finally comes back. So now I've got 50 megabits back and my delays are back to normal. Yep, and he's finally letting out a sigh of relief or a cheer of joy or both that he's finally able to see what his plane is up to again, and he takes control. So that's really strange that it took this long for him to get his video back, and equally concerning that while he didn't have video, it really did stomp on mine. So that's in 50 megabit mode. I would say in 25 megabit mode we might have fared a bit better. So after this flight I found a video from Rotorgeeks, which I'll link in the description, showing the difference between the V1 goggle antennas and the V2. And it's really interesting that the V2 have linear antennas, which are not matched to the air unit's left-hand circular polarized antennas, and explains why DCW's video was so much more prone to dropping out and struggling to recover than mine. Anyhow, that'll do for now. Thanks for watching.